We would like to show you what we do when we are not cooking for you. So we are actually working for Verbund, which is the largest electricity utility in Austria. And you actually see on this picture one of our assets. They are all over Austria and very beautiful locations as well, because we have a number of pumped storage assets in the Alps. So whenever you are in the mountains hiking or so, you might have come across some of our plants. But not only these are plants that we operate, but for this I've prepared a special slide. Well, as I mentioned, Verbund is Austria's largest electricity utility. And what we are very proud of is that our electricity production is 96 to 97% renewables, fully renewables. And our main production technology, generation technology, is hydropower. So we have around 130 hydropower plants, mostly in Austria, but also in southern Germany, in Bavaria, in Albania, and in various European countries. As a company, we are an integrated corporation, so we do not only generate power, but we also transmit power. So to our family also belongs APG, another sponsor of this conference. They run the transmission grid, the electricity transmission grid. And recently we also acquired a majority share of Gas Connect Austria, which actually runs the transmission gas grid in Austria. So we are very well positioned, I think, for sector coupling, because these sectors are, of course, coming closer and closer together. Yeah, being an integrated utility, of course, we also have end customers, around 500,000. And since hydropower is somehow limited, we are expanding in wind and solar. We have already wind and solar capacities in various countries. Yeah, but then again, our main production technology is hydropower, and you see this in this slide. It really dominates. It's around 90% of our electricity production, and we have around 33 thousand gigawatt hours that we actually produce, 33 terawatt hours, which is roughly half the electricity production of Austria is produced by our hydropower plants. Talking about hydropower, I mentioned pumped storage early on. We have around 1.8 terawatt hours of pumped storage capacity, around 3.5 gigawatts of pumped storage in the Alps, mostly in the western part, of course, of Austria. Our hydropower is also accompanied by wind power and by solar power, both here in Austria, but also in various European countries. For example, in Spain, we have quite a bit of solar power and wind power. We have one thermal power plant, which is located here in Styria. It's used for grid services, and we invest in battery storage as a newer storage technology. So we have a number of battery storage plants in Germany and one or two at some of our hydropower plants co-located as battery storage units. So you see we have a very wide generation spread, actually, mostly centered on hydropower. And this is very important technology for us. And how we model our assets and the prices and how we optimize our assets will be explained to you by my colleague, who is the expert in modeling. I'm from the innovation department, so don't ask me any questions about modeling. I'm a layman there. But our expert is Andreas, and he will talk about our modeling efforts in our company.
Yeah, since this is a conference or workshop about optimization techniques, I wanted to present some models, some optimization models which we use in practice in the company. Yeah, the first one is the Verbund energy market model. This is a fundamental model for estimating or forecasting long-term electricity prices. And the second I want to highlight a little bit is the hydro storage optimization. So, yeah, the market model, it's for forecasting electricity prices over a time scale of decades. I mean, I don't have to explain that to you because most of you are working in this field. So maybe I just skipped that slide. The market model we use, it's a of course, it's compared to what you use, maybe a little bit simpler. It's a linear model, but for us, it's very important. We use the prices for making investment decisions, like real investment decisions for the company. We also evaluate our assets that we have, that these evaluations go into our balance sheets and so on. So it's really crucial here what we use as an input. We use how we choose the input data, like fuel prices, gas prices, coal prices. That are global market prices. That usually is determined outside of the model, and also the electricity demand curve. It's very crucial how we choose that, and then the output is, of course, the main output is the power price curve over the next 40 years, and with that we go to evaluate our assets or our investments. Basically the approach is like straightforward. It's a sequential approach. We optimize year by year. We minimize the system cost. The system cost consists of the optimal dispatch to meet the demand on an hourly basis. We don't use any aggregation techniques in time. Of course, we aggregate the technologies like CCGTs, wind, solar, batteries, but we don't use any time aggregation techniques as was here presented earlier. And of course, the model has to calculate the optimal dispatch for the countries, for whole continental Europe, basically. And it is also allowed to invest in new technology, so new assets can be built, like CCGTs, batteries, whatever. And since it's a sequential model, of course, you start with what is there in Europe, and then if there's some investment going on, then in the next year this will be fixed, so it cannot be removed next year again, of course. And that's basically our Verbund market model. It's implemented in GAMS and has an environment in R. And the second model landscape I want to focus on is our hydro storage optimization. As Rudy mentioned, hydro storage is our biggest asset, or is our biggest generation. And so also the model is, I think, the most sophisticated one we have in Verbund. The hydro assets in Austria can be divided in storage power plants like this with a big reservoir, and run-of-river power plants. This one, what you can see here is a typically yearly storage with a very big reservoir. It follows typically a seasonal rationing of the water, a seasonal storage content curve. Those are all coupled together also with smaller ones, daily or weekly storages. And when you then turbine finally the water down to the valley, the water ends up into the rivers. And on all of the rivers, we also have run-of-river power plants. So the water also affects the generation here on the run-of-river power plants. The storage power plants are basically we have three major groups. Here I pictured one group. This is the Zempziller group in Tyrol. We have here 3 yearly storages, 2 weekly storages, and then the water can be turbined down to the river, and here from the river Ziller, it would go to the river Inn and then to the river Danube, and also generate electricity there on the run-of-river power plants. And the one challenge is that we have to optimize all these power plants jointly. We cannot make a spatial decomposition, optimize one group or another, because they are all hydrologically connected, and they are also connected implicitly by reserve constraints we have. We want to hold a certain reserve for all time stages. And so the optimization gets kind of tricky. So we have a whole landscape of optimization models to run these power plants in operation. We have the real-time dispatch, which supports the dispatcher in the control room to switch on and switch off the turbines and pumps. We have day-ahead optimization and medium-term optimization over 1 month. This is with a very smart optimization technique called successive linear programming, which is very suitable for coping the non-linearities of pumps and turbines. And finally, what I'm in charge is that the basis of this pyramid is the medium-long term, where we optimize the seasonal rationing of the water. And I will go into a little bit into detail about this last one, since this is the model I'm in charge of. So here we do stochastic programming, multi-stage stochastic programming on the basis of an STDP algorithm, which is stochastic dual dynamic programming. Pardon? Yes, yeah. But Niels Löndorf is no longer in the boat. He closed down his company, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, we use a library called Quasar from Niels Löndorf, who was also a researcher in this field, but he stopped his business and also his academic career. This algorithm needs as an input a so-called recombining scenario tree, or what also is called a lattice. It has this structure here with daily branching with transition probabilities, and each node, these green ellipsoids are the nodes. Each node carries like scenarios for 24 prices for the 24 hours, and also inflow values, inflow scenarios for each power plant or for each storage. And here I visualized that the price component, of course, this price component would also have this tree structure, but you cannot see here, you just see the quantiles. And once you generate this recombining scenario, you can pass that to the STDP algorithm, and it will optimize over these scenarios. And here I plotted some output of 3 different of our storages. Like qualitatively, it's all the same. Typically, you use the water in the winter when there is no inflow and high power prices, and then when summer comes, you fill up again. And qualitatively, it's all the same. But as you can see, quantitatively, there's a big difference between all the storages, and also between every model run looks different all the time. Here in the third one, you see the stronger weekly pattern. This is because this storage has a bigger pump as connected to it. So. Yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say, because were just 2 optimization models we use. Of course, we use many others. We have this CCGT here near Graz, which also provides the district heating for Graz. We have battery storages, hydrogen electrolyzers, demand response. And of course, for all these assets, we have different kinds of optimization models, and they are kind of different than what we have for the hydro. They have to incorporate more the intraday and the control reserve, the FCR, AFR, MFR directly into the optimization that we don't do for the hydro. But this is, I will stop here because I think time is over. And so I'm happy to take any questions.